Hey folks, before you get too excited about headlines screaming about a $200 Social Security increase coming your way in 2026, I need you to stop scrolling right now because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between planning your retirement correctly and getting blindsided by misinformation that's flooding the internet. There are two major bills making waves right now, the rumored $200 increase and something called the SAFE Act. And I'm seeing so much confusion and outright false information circulating that I felt compelled to sit down and give you the unfiltered truth about what's actually happening, what's just speculation, and what you absolutely need to know as we head into 2026. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found this video because today we're diving deep into two pieces of legislation that have seniors, retirees, and future Social Security recipients buzzing with questions. Now, I want to be completely transparent with you from the start. My goal here isn't to get you hyped up on promises that may never materialize, and it's not to be doom and gloom either. My goal is to cut through the noise and give you factual, researched information so you can make informed decisions about your financial future. So if that sounds good to you, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates as this situation develops, because trust me, things are changing rapidly and you'll want to stay informed. Let's start with the elephant in the room, this $200 Social Security increase that everyone keeps talking about. Now I'm going to be straight with you. As of right now, there is no official legislation that has been passed guaranteeing every Social Security recipient a flat $200 increase in 2026. Let me repeat that because it's important. There is no law on the books right now that says everyone getting Social Security is getting an automatic $200 boost added to their monthly check in 2026. But here's where things get interesting and where the confusion is coming from. What we do have is the standard cost of living adjustment, or COLA, that Social Security recipients receive annually. This is an automatic increase that's designed to help benefits keep pace with inflation. For 2025, Social Security recipients received a 2.5% COLA increase. Now, for 2026, the projections are still being calculated, but early estimates suggest the COLA could be somewhere in the range of 2.5 to 3%, depending on inflation data throughout 2025. For someone receiving the average Social Security benefit of around $1,900 per month, a 2.5% increase would translate to roughly $47 to $50 more per month. A 3% increase would be closer to $57. You can see that's nowhere near $200. So, where does this $200 figure come from? Well, there have been various proposals and bills introduced over the years by different legislators suggesting enhanced Social Security benefits. Some have proposed flat increases, others have suggested increasing the COLA calculation method, and others have talked about supplemental payments for certain vulnerable populations. The problem is that many of these proposals never make it past the introduction phase. They get talked about, they generate headlines, they circulate on social media, but they don't become law. What happens is people see a headline that says something like proposed $200 Social Security increase, and they interpret that as you're definitely getting $200 more, when in reality, it might just be one legislator's wish list that has zero chance of passing. Now, I don't want to completely dismiss the possibility of enhanced benefits because there are legitimate discussions happening in Congress about strengthening Social Security. There's recognition that many seniors are struggling with rising costs, particularly in healthcare, housing, and everyday expenses. Some proposals on the table include increasing minimum benefits for low-income seniors, adjusting how COLA is calculated to better reflect the actual expenses seniors face, and finding ways to shore up Social Security's long-term funding while also improving benefits. These are real conversations happening, but conversations and proposals are very different from enacted legislation. Here's what I can tell you with certainty about Social Security in 2026. You will receive the standard COLA adjustment based on inflation data. That's automatic and doesn't require any new legislation. Beyond that standard COLA, any additional increases would require new laws to be passed by Congress and signed by the president. Given the current political landscape and the ongoing debates about Social Security's funding challenges, Major benefit increases face significant hurdles. That doesn't mean they're impossible, but it means you shouldn't be planning your 2026 budget around a $200 increase that hasn't been officially enacted. Now, let's talk about the SAFE Act, because this is another piece of legislation that's generating a lot of attention and equally as much confusion. The SAFE Act, which stands for the Social Security and Fairness Act, is actually real legislation that has been introduced in Congress, unlike some of the more nebulous increase proposals floating around. This act specifically addresses something called the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, two rules that currently reduce Social Security benefits for certain public sector workers. Let me explain this because if you're affected by these provisions, the SAFE Act could have a significant impact on your benefits. The windfall elimination provision, or WEP, affects people who worked in jobs where they didn't pay Social Security taxes, typically certain government positions or jobs covered by alternative pension systems, but who also worked other jobs where they did pay into Social Security. Under current law, their Social Security benefits are reduced by a formula that's meant to prevent them from getting an unfair advantage. However, many people argue this formula is overly punitive and reduces benefits more than is fair. The Government Pension Offset, or GPO, affects spousal and survivor benefits. If you receive a pension from a job where you didn't pay Social Security taxes, your Social Security spousal or survivor benefits can be reduced by 2/3 of your pension amount. For many people, this completely eliminates their spousal or survivor benefits, even though their spouse paid into Social Security for years. The SAFE Act proposes to either significantly modify or completely eliminate both the WEP and the GPO. For the people affected by these provisions, we're talking about potentially hundreds of dollars per month in restored benefits. For some individuals, it could indeed mean getting close to that $200 increase people are hearing about, or even more in some cases. This is where some of the confusion might be coming from. Someone affected by WEP or GPO hears about the SAFE Act potentially restoring their benefits. That information gets simplified and spread, and suddenly it becomes everyone is getting $200 more from Social Security. Here's the current status of the SAFE Act. The bill has been introduced and has garnered bipartisan support, which is actually pretty significant. It has co-sponsors from both parties, which doesn't happen often these days. However, having support and actually passing are two different things. The bill needs to make it through committee, get voted on by both the House and Senate, and be signed into law. There are also concerns about the cost. Eliminating or modifying WEP and GPO would increase Social Security expenditures at a time when the program is already facing long-term funding challenges. Some estimates suggest it could cost over $150 billion over 10 years. Supporters of the SAFE Act argue that WEP and GPO are fundamentally unfair and punish public servants like teachers, firefighters, and police officers who dedicated their careers to serving their communities. They argue these workers earned their Social Security benefits just like everyone else and shouldn't be penalized for also having a public pension. Opponents worry about the cost and argue that the original provisions were put in place to prevent people from getting disproportionately high benefits compared to workers who paid into Social Security their entire careers. If you're currently affected by WEP or GPO, the SAFE Act is definitely something to watch closely. If it passes, it could significantly improve your financial situation. However, until it actually becomes law, you shouldn't count on it. Continue planning based on your current benefit levels. If the SAFE Act passes, consider it a wonderful bonus, but don't put yourself in a financial bind by spending money you don't have yet based on legislation that might not pass. For those of you not affected by WEP or GPO, the SAFE Act won't directly impact your benefits. This is important to understand. This isn't a universal benefit increase. It's specifically about correcting what many see as an unfairness in how certain public sector workers' benefits are calculated. So, where does this leave us as we head into 2026? Here's my advice. First, expect the standard COLA increase, which will likely be in the 2.5 to 3% range based on current projections. Second, if you're affected by WEP or GPO, Follow the SAFE Act's progress closely, but don't count on it until it's actually law. Third, be extremely skeptical of headlines and social media posts claiming guaranteed increases that sound too good to be true. Always verify information by checking official Social Security Administration sources or reputable news outlets. I also want to encourage you to think bigger picture about your retirement planning. Social Security is an important piece of the puzzle, but it was never designed to be anyone's sole source of retirement income. Whether you're already retired or planning for retirement, you need multiple income streams. That might include personal savings, retirement accounts like 401k plans or IRAs, part time work, rental income, or other investments. Don't put all your eggs in the Social Security basket, especially with all the uncertainty around the program's long term funding. Speaking of long term funding, it's worth mentioning that Social Security does face challenges. The trust fund is projected to be depleted sometime in the 2030s, at which point incoming payroll taxes would only cover about 70 to 80% of scheduled benefits unless Congress acts. This doesn't mean Social Security is going bankrupt or disappearing. It means that without changes, benefits might need to be reduced or taxes increased. There are numerous proposals for addressing this, from raising the payroll tax cap to gradually increasing the retirement age to means testing benefits. The point is, changes are coming to Social Security one way or another. The question is what those changes will look like and when they'll happen. For those of you receiving benefits now or expecting to receive them soon, you're likely in pretty good shape. The closer you are to retirement age, the less likely any major changes will affect you because politicians are generally reluctant to alter benefits for current retirees or those near retirement. If you're younger and retirement is decades away, be prepared for Social Security to potentially look different when you reach retirement age. All right, everyone, let's wrap this up. The truth about Social Security in 2026 is less dramatic than the headlines would have you believe. There's no guaranteed $200 universal increase coming to everyone's checks. What you can count on is the standard COLA adjustment, which will help your benefits keep pace with inflation, but won't result in massive increases for most people. The SAFE Act is real legislation that could significantly help those affected by WEP and GPO, but it hasn't passed yet and its future is uncertain. My biggest piece of advice is to stay informed, verify what you hear, and plan conservatively. Hope for positive changes, but don't bank on them until they're official. I hope this video helped clear up some of the confusion around these Social Security topics. If it did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you know who might benefit from this information, especially if they're approaching retirement or already receiving Social Security. There's so much misinformation out there, and we need to help each other stay informed with accurate facts. Drop a comment below and let me know if you have questions about your specific situation or if there are other Social Security topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. And remember, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss important updates as these situations develop throughout 2026. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.